All right. Welcome, everybody, to another episode of the Flow Protocols. My name is Kat Howell, and today I have a very special guest, Emmanuelle Daigle, and she is going to talk to us about how to manifest your soulmate in 21 days using Love Alchemy. And I know this is a topic that I get asked so often when I do my one-on-one podcast interviews. How do I find love? Will I ever find love? Where's my partner? When I first met Emmanuelle, this girl blew me away because she is just, first of all, so beautiful, both physically, but also internally, so much self-worth and so much self-confidence. And when it comes to the conversation of love, I mean, you came over to my house in February. We spent, I think that was like 4 days together at the time. And all the women that were there were just so drawn to the conversations about love. And it's been something that a lot of people have sort of been attracted to you around because you're just really, really good at it. Really good at it. So
Yes.
why don't you start off by introducing a little bit more about yourself and how you came to know this process of manifesting a soulmate in 21 days?
Yes, of course. So yes, my name is Emmanuelle. I'm a witch. I've been a witch forever. I started, I think, drawing tarot and being interested in these things. I was maybe 9 years old. So it's been it's been a while. It's been a good amount of time. And I feel like as many girls or teenagers, I was first attracted to magic and more specifically divination, like what's gonna happen to me, like am I gonna meet someone, and a lot of love, like when you're a teenager there's a lot about boys and love or girls, whatever you're into. And so it was kind of my first interaction with magic as a whole, but also magic as a with love and like how to manifest love. It was a manifestation at that point. It was just like, when am I going to meet someone? But it was the first introduction. And as I grew older and read more about manifestation, I was introduced to Joe Dispenza's work, as I know you love him too, and all other sorts of mentors. And I realized I wasn't that interested anymore in divination and being told like, oh, this is going to happen in 6 months, or this is going to have blonde hair, or I didn't really care about that anymore. And I was more interested in controlling my own destiny and manifesting things to me. So I kind of left the divination out a little more and decided to dive deeper into my own power instead of being a power outside of me, including love. Because love, it's kind of easy, I think, to understand manifestation in terms of money. Like, oh, money comes, like I do something, I get money back. But when it comes to relationship, the line can be a little blurry. Like, is it me? Is it the other person? What if I'm trying to manifest someone? Can I manifest a specific person? Is it okay to try to manifest someone? Am I controlling them? Is it black magic? Like, what's going on? So as soon as there's like another human being implicated in a manifestation or a magic process, I think it complicates things, and we don't necessarily know how to look at it, and what to do about it. And can we actually control the process? Because there's someone else involved, right? And is it even okay to want to control the process when there's other people involved? So I started being interested in that. And I've always had a very easy time attracting people to me. It's just always been easy for me to be magnetic, but also I realized, oh, I can kind of turn it on or off. Like if I want people to come to me and talk to me, I can, but if I don't want, I can also like kind of turn off this attraction. Like, so I realized my power and being like, oh, okay, tonight I'm walking into the bar, I want guys to come to me and talk to me, and it would just happen. And some nights I'd be like, oh no, I'm with my girls, I don't want any attention, and I would not get it. And so I realized, interesting, just me saying yes, I want it or I don't, and this happened, like the guys would come or not. So interesting, can I like push that further? Where can I go with this? And I played around. I was young 20s. I played around with it until I was 24 approximately. And at that time, I decided I wanted to manifest my soulmate. I wanted love, like my real love, my real big love. And although it's never been a problem manifesting people into my life, and manifesting people were serious as well. It wasn't like people were just there for one night. Or I've always had an easiness getting into relationships and having, I think every guy I've dated wanted to like marry me, you know, like I didn't have a problem with it, but I was never that interested in them. Like I was dating, but I had never felt like I was very in love with them. Um, and so I was like, okay, I want this, but I want to feel,
The
you know, a
butterfly.
fangirling
Yeah.
over the guy as well. I want both of us to be fangirling over the
Yeah.
other, you know, and not just one way, like him towards me, but also not just me towards him, like both, like really soulmate relationships. Like I'm kind of done being the person that's loved more than they love. And
Mhm.
it sounds so bad to say, but it was literally what it was. Like I attracted people really easily, but I didn't love
Connect.
them so
Yeah.
much
Yeah.
in the end.
Hmm.
So I sat down and I thought, okay, what do I know about manifestation? What have I done before that's worked? I know I have this attracting power, but how do I attract the right person and the person that's going to love me the way that I want to be loved and that I'm going to love as well? And I came with this idea of how to feel this feeling of love, like what is the feeling that I actually want to feel, and I developed a manifestation around it. That's 21 days, which is why we said manifest in 21 days. So for 21 days I did this meditation that I developed, and it was a test. You know, I didn't know it was the first time I did it. So that was in this spring. I did that for 21 days. And during the summer, so less than 3 months later, I met my now husband.
Hmm.
And I knew right away. I knew right away when I met him. It was like, oh shit, it worked. Like it really worked. And it's been that was 5 years ago, and now we're married. So it worked so well. And I've shared this method with other people as well, and it's worked for them. So I just know that there's something there, that it works, and that we can attract the right person for us when we feel ready for it. And I'm just, it's so exciting. Like I love people falling in love. So
I
I
mean,
want
it's one of
everyone.
the biggest, I think, desires, right? It's such a core desire to humans to want to have that connection with somebody, love, right? We all aspire to that. And it can be very much like money in the sense that there can be a lot of reds where people feel it will never happen to them,
Yeah.
or they'll never meet that person. So just going back to what you said at the beginning, so the ethics of involving ritual magic and alchemy to attract a soulmate, how do you see that? Is it like, because I remember when I first attracted, well, now my ex-partner, but I did a ritual and I sort of calibrated to the sensation, and he sort of teased me out. He fell very fast for me, like very, very fast. And when he found out I had done this ritual, he sort of teased me after, like, you put a curse, like you put a spell on me, you know?
Yeah.
Well, how
And
does
well,
that work for people who are like thinking, well, is it manipulation, so to speak,
yes,
right? Hmm.
absolutely. And it's a good question, because when you don't know, it can feel like, did I do, did I do something wrong?
Does she or he actually love me? Or is this
Yeah,
magic?
exactly. Or it's just based
Yeah.
on my magic. My husband, it's so funny because when I met him, maybe a month later, he told me, like, I don't know what you did to me. It's like you put a spell on me. And I was like, oh, okay. Oops. But so there are ethics to it. And there's the number one rule, or there's two things, is really you cannot try to control someone. Don't try to control someone. Not that it's not going to work. Like it can work, and I've seen people do it. I've seen people like try to force a relationship and do like love spells, and they did get the person. It can work, but it's always going to explode in your face first. Like always, it's going to
Mhm.
work, but at what cost?
Mm.
um and second, why would you even want that? Because yeah, it's not real love, right? Like it's forced. So it's never going to be giving you what you want it to give you anyways. This feeling of love that you want, you're never going to really feel.
Mm.
So I never have tried to like go towards a specific person in my manifestations. And so that's one thing, never try to control. And this is where it gets ethically not okay, when you try to control other people. If
Mm-hmm.
you just try to manifest and attract your soulmate, then there's no ethics, because you're just bringing something to you, you're just manifesting. The other person is not forced.
It's
They're
the
also
same
meeting their soulmate.
vibrations meeting the same vibration. Yeah.
Exactly. So it's just you're just bringing yourself together with the other person who's also benefiting from it. So you were not forcing. There was no, as long as you let the universe unravel the story and you don't try to control it, there isn't an ethical problem because you're not controlling anything.
Mm,
So
mm,
then it's not a problem. And controlling is also, yeah, you can try to control other people, but it's also about, oh, like I really want a guy that has dark hair and is 6 foot tall and like makes enough money. And don't go there. Don't go there, because you're probably gonna get it. You're probably gonna get it, but maybe it's not your soulmate. Maybe you don't
mm,
know what you want. Maybe you'll go out and you'll meet the most amazing girl and you realize you're bi and you didn't know it. And do you
mm.
care? Just don't. I didn't, when I manifested for my 21 days, I didn't even think of like a human. I just thought of the feeling that I was feeling. I didn't care. It could have been an alien would have come and give me that feeling. I would be on the spaceship right now. I did not care. So trying to control someone, like super evil, don't do it. But also, if you try to control the details, you are doing yourself a disservice. Not necessarily the other person. You're not forcing anyone into it, but you're doing yourself a disservice because you might not know.
Yeah, I
Well, you
like
might not.
that. And I agree because it may not be the best thing for you. And that tends to also backfire. And I experienced this firsthand where my very first ritual that I did around late 2020 was I was so lonely at the time. And I had been lonely for, I think, about 2, 3 years at least. And I just wanted love so, so badly. And I discovered the world of alchemy. I used it to transmute a depression. And I was like, oh, I wonder if I can use rituals to attract
Bring love.
or love. But what I did was I did a ritual to make my ex fall in love with me because I had just been broken up with. I was heartbroken. And that one just backfired so, so badly on me because even 3 years later, he was coming to my house like a lost puppy. And I had lost all the feelings for him. I was in a new relationship. And I realized pretty quickly, I think about 6 months after doing that ritual, that was, yeah, we don't do that. We don't do rituals for specific people because it just completely backfired on me. And it was really difficult to watch him go through that when
Yeah.
I knew that I didn't have any feelings for him anymore. So that really good advice. Like, don't do it for a specific person, a specific name, an ex, or somebody that you're crushing on. Rather, set your intentions and your rituals for the general sensation and vibration and energy of love, a soulmate partnership.
Yeah.
So,
And I find it funny because, like, when you're teenagers, like, I've seen other teenager girls do rituals where it would be like, oh, I want to date like this movie
yeah,
star, and it's like, how many people do you think you're trying to manifest that? You're gonna have to be one hell of a witch
yeah,
to make it work. So there's
yeah.
that as well. Like, there's also like other energies are at play, so this person might be meant for someone else. So you're keeping this person for yourself, you're taking them away from someone else, and you're stopping yourself from getting the real person that's meant for you. So no one wins. You don't
Mm,
win when you get the person you thought you wanted, but it's not the right person for you.
yeah. So what is the process, the 21-day process? You're saying that you're touching into this vibration of like,
Yeah.
what did you do when you attracted your husband?
Yeah. So for 21 days, I did a meditation, and I actually have an ebook about that that's coming out like next week. So if you want more, like the fully detailed process, you can go on my Instagram. We'll link it at the end. But briefly, what it is for 21 days, you did a meditation, 21 days in a row or more, but 21 is enough. It doesn't have to be long. It's a meditation that's all about how intensely you're going to feel the feeling and not how long you're going to feel the feeling. I had never really meditated before that. I tried, but didn't. I did it for 2 days and it didn't stick. And it was the first time I actually committed to meditation. So the first days I did 2 minutes. It was not long. You don't need to do it long. You just need to do it really well. So I started to just bring myself to a calm space and usually see a white light go from the crown of my head and fill my whole body, like one part at a time, and just empty my mind from any noise. And usually you'll have thoughts pop when you do that. You'll have things pop, and it's okay. You don't need to think to yourself like you suck or whatever. I just let these thoughts go. I always imagine kind of a river, and then I let the thought become like this a little boat and just go down the river and float away from me. And there will always be, but at some point you'll realize like, oh, thoughts pop, but I'm able to like let them float away right away, and I don't get into them. Sometimes one thought will pop and you'll realize 30 seconds later like, oh, I'm not meditating anymore, like I'm in my thought. Just put it back and let it float away. At some point you feel okay, like I'm good. I feel I'm not getting into my thoughts. I do feel calm. At that point, I always connect with the universe, because we are the universe, right? The universe is us. So I just imagine, when you see a photo of like the Milky Way, it's like so many stars and kind of colors and purples. And so I imagine this fabric kind of in the sky coming to me, usually through my palms, because I'm very sensitive and intuitive through my fingers and my palms. But sometimes through my third eyes, sometimes through my feet, like really wherever you feel like you're connecting today. I would imagine this fabric of the universe get to me and fill me back up. So I emptied everything and then I fill it back up with this
like Milky
energy.
Way, celestial
Yeah,
fabric.
yeah. You become part of like this thousands, millions of
Feeling
stars
it, yeah.
like in your body. And I would repeat multiple times in my head or out loud, it doesn't matter. I would repeat, I am the universe is me, multiple times, until I kind of almost forget what I'm doing, just until I really feel like this is me. And usually when I do this, my fingers are I feel tingling sensations, like it really feels powerful. I can feel something is happening. So I'm really connecting with this energy from the universe. And then from there, bring in the feeling of love, the pure feeling, not what I want, not what I think I want, not who I want, not the color, the hair color, the height or anything, the car that they drive. No, just a pure feeling of love, very, very intensely. A lot of times I had tears go up my eyes because it was so intense, the feeling that I would feel. And then give a little gratitude. They say thank you to the universe for bringing this to me, and that's it. And as I said, the first few times I did like 2 minutes meditations, but I did it really intensely. I would cry, and that was enough. You don't need to do it for long.
So you were basically teaching, because you were saying like you never really loved somebody back the same way that they loved you. So essentially what you were doing with this is almost like teaching yourself that vibration, teaching yourself that feeling, and it inadvertently attracted to you the person that would allow you to feel
and
that.
I'm gonna say it's really important, because for me it was more about loving the other people, but I also would feel the feeling of them loving me as well, right? Like I it's not one-sided. It's the feeling of being loved and the feeling of loving, the both. It's both ways. And I think for some other people, they tell me like, oh, I love a lot, but the guys always end up saying like, oh, it's not you, it's me, and then they go away. So then it's just the reverse of the same problem. You're just a mirror of the problem that I had, which is, you know how to love, but you don't know maybe how to be loved or to attract the person that will love you. So in the feeling space, you need to feel both, because you do want to have both, right? You don't want to get into a relationship where it's going to be one-sided.
And what if someone has never experienced that before in their lives? Because I've known some people where they've never even dated, or they want a partner,
Yeah.
but they'll say they've never even been in love. How can they go about like touching or teaching themselves those feelings?
So I think it's actually very human to know how to love. Like, we don't need to learn it. Sometimes we're out of touch with it, but I think it's just getting back to
Human
it.
nature.
How do you, yeah, but how do you, you've seen like children when they meet a puppy, like immediately, like they love the puppy, like it's their best friend. We don't need to learn how to love, we know it, but growing up, we kind of forget it. So we just need to remember. And it doesn't need to be a romantic love at first. You can just manifest love. If you know love, you know something about love. You might not know romantic love, but you know friendship, you know you have maybe animals, or you know you love art, whatever. There are things that you love, and you do receive love. It's very rare that someone is alone in the world, like completely. So you can start there. You can start there at least, and then you'll attract more and more, and you can kind of grow from there.
Yeah,
Because
for
honestly,
me, go
the
ahead.
love the love that I felt when I did it, it was so intense that I wouldn't necessarily say it felt romantic. It was just such a pure love energy, and feeling like someone completely accepts me, loves me for everything, and I love them, and like we've got our back. But it was so, it wasn't like sexual, it was just pure love. And yes, I had a romantic love intention, but it didn't necessarily feel romantic. At its core, love is the same, whether it's romantic or friendship or anything like that, right? So if you really feel the pure feeling and you remove a lot of things around it, it looks very similar in the end.
What I experienced, so I didn't do 21 days, but I did a mala necklace, and that was maybe around a month or 2 months. And every day I would touch that feeling of love. And what I began to notice after doing that, not very long into it, was that all of a sudden I didn't even care if I met the person. It was like I was giving myself what I
Yeah.
wanted. And then the thing that I thought I wanted was not as important. And ironically, literally like manifested that guy before I was even finished that ritual.
Well, it's always, it's always like that. It's always like that. And that's what I say in the ebook is, after the 21 days, actually the really important step is the next step, which is after the 21 days, right? And after the 21 days, it's all about detachment. So yes, and feeling that feeling. And while you do that, you're gonna attract nice things to you. Like feeling love, you will attract, even though it's not maybe love by itself. Like for me, it was 3 months later I met my husband, but a lot of beautiful things happened to me during that time, and I had so much fun. I detached from it. I kind of forgot I had done that, to be honest. I forgot, and it was the summer, and I had a lot of parties, and I had a trip coming. I was planning a trip. I was just having fun, and I detached from it. I almost forgot about the rituals, to be honest. And then it happened. So yes, because if you have a clingy energy, like I need it, then usually doesn't happen, whether it's love or money or anything. So
Yeah.
the detachment is important, but yes, by feeling the feeling,
You create the detachment.
you create the detachment, because you
Yeah.
know how to feel it now. You know how to
Yeah.
feel it. So you feel good. You wake up in the morning, you're doing your meditation, you feel amazing.
Yeah.
So, and then feeling amazing makes you attractive. So you're gonna get little threads of like, oh, a cute guy's gonna ask you for your number. It doesn't mean it's your soulmates, but it's threads that
Yeah.
you're starting to attract things around you.
Yeah. Yeah, this is the one thing, especially around money, the conversations that I have with entrepreneurs and making money. A lot of people will say to me, "Where is it? Why isn't it here yet?" And every time somebody says that to me, I know that they haven't actually fully calibrated, because if you have, you actually don't notice that
Yeah.
it's not there, because you're giving what you desire to yourself to begin with. Yeah. Yeah.
Is the same. I mean, all manifestation is the same. You know, you have an easiness with money. I have an easiness with love. So this is what we teach, but really is the same thing, right? It's the
Yeah.
same. So you do need to let it go. You do need
Yeah.
to let it.
Well, so somebody could argue then, well, you're just always having it easy with love, it's always working out for you. I'm different.
Yeah,
It's
it's
really
not gonna
hard
work
for
for me.
me. It's not going to work for me. I'm
Yeah,
different. I'm broken.
yeah,
I
exactly.
find love.
Always,
So what would
always,
you say
always.
to that?
Yeah, I've had that, and I've had like, oh, like you're a girl is different. Like I'm a guy. Like, yeah, okay. For sure for me, I have always had an easiness attracting people, but I didn't have an easiness attracting people I was into, right? So I it had never happened to me. It's the first time I remember going to my girlfriends and talking about my husband after I had met him, and I was almost embarrassed. I was like, girls, like, I feel like I'm a teenager. I feel like I'm 14 years old. You know, I'm so excited. And they laughed and they were like, we've never seen you like that. So, yeah, it was easy for me to attract people around me, but it wasn't easy for me to find love. I had never found love really before that. So, just because it seems like the situation is different doesn't mean it is. And you might say, okay, well, I even have a hard time attracting people. So like the first step is not even like, I have an
Saying
extra
that.
step to do.
Yeah,
But
not
it
even
is
saying that about yourself, right? Because we are enchanting that.
exactly. And is
Yeah.
it true that you don't attract people, or maybe you just haven't found the switch? Like, when I said in the beginning, I can turn it off or on. Like you can turn it off or on. You just need to find the switch. And
Mm.
doing the meditation will help for sure. Because when you feel that love, you become that love, you attract things to you. And then you're going to get little threads like, oh, like people are a little flirt, a little something. Things will happen. And it's going to just reinforce this idea that, oh, it's actually working for me. I'm attracting things to me.
Mm.
So everyone has this power inside of themselves. And maybe, yes, I already knew how to do the first part, which is attracting, but I didn't know how to do the second part. So the meditation is good for both.
Mm. Yeah,
Sure.
I always tell people, love, that say, I'm single and I'm so lonely and I don't know if I'll ever find love. Love is literally the most prominent vibration in our reality, in our universe. It is available to everyone. What really gets to me is we often have narratives in our society, especially of women over 30, where it's like, if you're single and you're 30 and you don't have kids yet, you're never going to meet, like you're damaged goods or whatever. But I have a girlfriend whose grandmother is 80 something years old and she has 3 boyfriends right now. 3. She I've seen it time and time again how love is just that it's available for every age. It doesn't matter. And it is the most prominent vibration there is that of this reality that we're in,
And
right?
it's there for everyone. And it's, yeah, what we say and what we feel does become reality, and that's around love as well. And yeah, I find it sad because people have all these things that they say, but then they say, oh, I want love, but oh, I never have guys ask me out. There's never like this never happens to me. All the guys in my city they're not cute. All the guys my age are taken. Is that true? There's no guy your age that's not taken. There's no guy your age on the planet. I met my husband on a vacation. I mean,
Mm.
my husband on vacation, and it was a work trip. I did not plan to meet someone. It was supposed to be all like 60-year-old dudes. I was 24. It just happened that there was like one cute guy that was my age. And boom, that was it. Would have never planned that it would have been at that event, which was a work thing.
Mm.
Um, so is it really true that
Mm,
there's no cute guy? They're all taken. Like you're too late. Saying I want love is not what's gonna bring love. Like you
mhm,
say that, and you don't even really believe it because you just say it with your words. But then the rest of like for 23 hours and 45 minutes, you think in your head, there's no guy, I don't attract people, love is hard for me.
you're
That's
in like
what you're
loneliness and like
yeah,
desperation. Yeah.
that's what you are. So that's what you're gonna attract to you. Even if for 15 minutes in the day you say, "Oh, I want to meet someone," that's not gonna happen. You're just saying words. Saying words doesn't do anything. That's why I don't really believe in affirmation, like saying
Mm,
affirmations. I think the line is tricky because if you just say them but you don't believe them, it doesn't actually work. So I'm kind of on and off about affirmations
mm,
because of that. So the manifestation, because it makes you feel the feeling, even if you feel it for 2 minutes a day, it's 2 minutes that you would have not felt before. And just that can change your reality. Because instead of being in a mode of like, oh, it's not going to happen for me, like basically 24/7, you're going to be maybe an hour a day in a vibration of it might happen. So you're
mm.
making your chances grow and grow each day.
Yeah, teaching yourself the vibration. And I think people don't realize just how powerful their words are, that they're enchanting circumstances and their reality. My sister always said, I always find love no matter where I go in the world. She's always said that so easily, just like casually. Oh yeah, everywhere I go, I always find love. And one of her problems in life is that she can love many people at once. And so sometimes that creates like relationship strange dynamics.
It's a different dynamic.
But hers was so different to mine, which was very much a narrative of, oh, I'm divorced with 2 kids, no one's gonna want me, I'm never gonna find love, you know. Also buying into the narrative of there's no good people out there anymore, all the good ones are taken. That's
Yeah.
another famous one. And then I
Or people
went on
just
like
think you're
hundreds
not
of Tinder dates, and it was literally like the weirdest experience of my life. Just like I got catfish like maybe 20% of those dates. It was crazy.
I've
And then
never
just
been catfished in my life because I
yeah,
don't like believe in
it
that.
was insane how, but I do think that that happened because I was attracting that because of my
Yeah.
narratives, because of my
Because you thought
vibration.
there were no good guys out there, so the
And
reality
I
was
was
showing.
literally attracting the weirdest people on Tinder, like the
Yeah.
weirdest people. Um, and I see this a lot where that is a very common narrative amongst people, that, you know, it's really hard to find someone good.
Yeah.
Um, all men are cheaters, or all women are
Yeah.
cheaters or gold diggers, right?
And
And
can I
then
tell you, I've been in really many relationships. I've never had one guy cheat on me.
yeah, same,
It's never happened to me. It's never happened to me
same.
unless I don't know about it.
Unless,
But
yeah, exactly.
it's never happened to me.
Yeah,
And I know so many great guys. I know so
yeah,
many great guys around me. Like we have friends. We like my husband has friends. I'm like, these guys are amazing.
yeah,
And they have a hard time finding a girlfriend. And they bring back girls. And I'm like, what are these people? And I know amazing girls who are single and having I'm just like, they're just not meeting. They're just not crossing paths because
yeah,
they don't want to cross path. Actually, they're not in the vibration of crossing path. And then sometimes we're trying to match them, you know,
yeah.
but we need to do the inner work
And
first.
if that's all you attract, of course it's going to feel universal. It's going to
Yeah,
feel like but I think the stats is really actually, I'm going to maybe butcher this, but it's somewhere around like only 20% of men cheat, 15% of women.
not that.
So it's not the majority of people that
No,
cheat anyways.
no,
Uh,
and like if you have always been in there, of course your brain thinks that, but it is not true. It is not true that it is like that.
yeah.
Another thing I hear a lot is women who don't love themselves. So they don't think that they're attractive. They don't think they can attract men because they're not hot enough. Or
Mm,
there's people of all level of attractiveness who get married. Okay, that's not a problem, first of all. Second of all, one thing that I'm gonna say can be super helpful: go on TikTok or any and look up at people that look like you, find people that look like you, and look at their comments. Like, I'm not joking when I tell you there's people who find anyone hot. Anyone. When I need a pick me up, I have a few girls I follow on TikTok who, like, I know they look like me, like same body type, and I'll go to their comments and like everyone is in love with them. I'm just like, well, that's me.
Yeah.
But I really, like, sometimes we see in the movies, like the girl, they all look the same, and it's like, well, your brain sees like, oh, these people fall in love, but I don't look like that.
Yeah.
And just go and find real people out there that look like you. You'll see there's no problem. Like,
Yeah.
you are attractive. You're more attractive than you think.
So what would you say to those people who maybe are in a relationship right now, but maybe they're experiencing something where they don't love them as much, or their partner doesn't love them as much, or it might be narcissistic, or there's cheating or betrayals? How would you move forward? And would this 21 days still apply?
Yeah, absolutely. So first, I'm a big like dump him girly.
A
So
what? A dumpling?
dump him.
Oh, dump.
Like,
Oh, yeah, I know that. That's literally what you were telling me in February. You were like whispering in my ear, just get rid of him, Kat. Sending me all these TikTok reels. Dump him.
so I'm because I know when I see people, when I, especially with women, I talk to other women and I can tell if it's the right relationship for them pretty easily. Like, it's easy for me to feel into love and see if it's the right love for people. So I'm big into telling people to dump them when I don't feel like
Mhm.
it's right. But you have to do it when you're ready. But if you're into a relationship and you're not sure, or you don't love them, or there's something and you don't really know, and you ultimately want to feel the love, right? You have to open yourself up to the possibility of it could be with them or it could be without them. And you can do the 21-day meditation. When I did it, I was in a relationship. I
Mhm.
was engaged to someone else, and we I didn't love. Like, there was
You
no
knew
love.
it wasn't right in your heart.
I knew it wasn't right,
Well,
but
otherwise you wouldn't have done that 21-day thing, right? Yeah.
no, but
Yeah.
I did it, and I didn't know if it would
Be
come
him.
from him, like from the relationship, just like reignite, or if it would, what would happen? Like, would it come from the outside? I didn't know. All I knew was I wanted to feel love. And I didn't think about, in the meditation, I didn't think of my ex, or I didn't think of someone new, or I just felt the feeling of love and I just let it go. Whatever happens, like the universe, like, it's not my problem.
Mm.
I always think of, when I ask something to the universe, I always think of it like it's my birthday. When it's your birthday and you're like, oh, I want this thing, and you send the link to your husband or your mom or your friend, and it's like, it's not my problem anymore. You know what I want, and I better have it for my birthday. So I
Mhm.
kind of feel like this with the universe, like, this is what I want, and it's not my problem anymore. And so I said, this is what I want. I want love, and it's not my problem anymore. So bring it to me where you want. And it would have been a really easy way for the universe to deliver love to me through the relationship I was in at that time, right? But it didn't happen. We ended up breaking up, and now I'm with someone new.
Mhm.
So it can absolutely work. It worked for me. I was in a relationship where there wasn't love, or at least not on my side. And the meditation brought me to meet my soulmate, my now husband. Um, but I don't want it to scare you away, because it could have repaired the relationship with my ex if he had been the one for me. So maybe for you, it doesn't mean you're going to attract someone new. If the
Mhm.
person is right for you, it could just change their relationship. So it's like, don't be afraid if you're with someone to think,
Mhm.
oh my God, I'm going to meet someone new. Um, we don't know. You just have to go with an open mind and say, wherever it comes from.
Yeah, trust and surrender to however it wants to synchronicity. Oh, I'm gonna butcher that. Show up in your life, magically.
Yeah.
I know when I started to feel a shift energetically in my relationship, and then I started to do rituals around love and calibrating back to the
Mhm.
sensation. what happened to me was, I think there was very much a voice in my head telling me like, this isn't something, like, leave, you know? And
Yeah.
but there was too much fear, and there was too much maybe guilt of hurting somebody that I did actually love. And fear of, messing up, fear of regret, because that's literally what happened to my ex-boyfriend. He was pining for me for 3 years after, deep regret. I was like, oh my God, I don't want to be like him.
Yeah.
And so I kind of just ignored that. And the more I was calibrating to that, what I experienced was just so much chaos that happened in my life during those times.
Yeah, because
And
you knew
the
it.
chaos, like you heard some of those WhatsApp messages, random crazy stuff that I couldn't even make up. And all of it was like, it chipped away at the relationship more and more and more,
Yeah.
until it was like the perspective was like, yeah, this needs to end, it brought me to that place. And I wasn't thinking specifically of him when I was calibrating to love. It was, again, like, I just want to feel this like sensation of, like, all these beautiful, delicious feelings that I was aspiring to in a relationship. And
Yeah.
so it wasn't like specifically towards him. It was just that love, like you're saying. Yeah.
Yeah. But then if you want to bring in love, you
Do it
can't
again.
have a boyfriend if it's not the person for you. So the first thing
Exactly.
it's gonna bring is probably your breakup. And then it's a lot to handle and it's not easy. And you have to go through this chaos and keep the faith that like it's what I asked for. I
Yeah.
asked for love, and now the universe is removing the obstacles to bring
Yeah.
me to love
The things
and
that
having
aren't
someone in
aligned
my
to
life.
that. Yeah.
Yeah, like the first step is taking out the layers that are stopping me
Yeah.
from long. But it's
Mm.
definitely, while you're going through it, very very intense,
Well,
very
I
intense.
must say the breakup though is like totally easier than my last breakup. My last one, I was like broken. I was a broken woman. And this time around, perhaps, I think, yeah, because I've been calibrating to that sensation of love, it's like so much easier. It's
Yeah.
very seamless, and it's just like a totally different experience as the last one, because I think that I do have that trust. Well, there's moments I wobble, and I think that's normal when you just break
It's
up and
normal,
there's
of
like a
course.
grieving. Yeah. But there's just so much more trust, and like, okay, this.
Trust in the universe. I mean, the
Mm,
breakup can be hard, but oftentimes what I find is that in women, we handle breakups really differently than men.
mm,
And I find that we grieve the relationship before the breakup a lot of times. So what you did is you knew it and you didn't do it. You didn't do it until you kind of, it was just so
yeah,
ridiculous
so
to do
true.
it.
I was
So the
literally talking about that
grieving
last night.
process
Yeah.
was done. And I did the same. Basically, I'm sorry, but when you're at the point where you're making a pros and cons list about, your boyfriend, or like you're making a love manifestation because you want to feel more love, it's not a good sign, okay? Usually.
Yeah, that's
But,
true.
like it's not a good sign. But so you knew it, and I did the same. I grieved the relationship. I was still in it. I tried, and then I did my rituals, and maybe it's gonna bring it back. And it wasn't
Yeah.
him; it was someone else. So once you break up, same for me. Once I broke up, I was fine. It's the
Yeah.
before that's hard, like knowing you're gonna hurt the person, and all these feelings. I feel, you said your ex was like, oh my God, you regret it. I feel men do it the opposite. Like when they feel it, they break up and then they go through the grieving process after.
Mm,
So they have a harder time after the breakup. We have a harder time before, is what I've
mm,
personally experienced.
mm. How did you like come up with this 21-day process? Was it just like a download? Was it
Yeah,
inspired by
pretty much a download. There's parts of it that's inspired from Joe Dispenza. Like the first part of like the white coming to every part of your body is
anything?
very Joe Dispenza inspired. But the part of like connecting with the universe, with like this Milky Way entering, um it's just a download I've had a really long time ago. I've always done that. Like imagine when I need like a boost of feeling powerful, I've always imagined myself like connecting with the universe. So I integrated it into the manifestation. And the feeling part is, I think, very universal to everyone who does magic or manifestation. So I just had to download to put all these things I knew together and create the ritual.
And are there any, can you recommend like another ritual like another magical ritual that you would do for love as well and to supplement this?
Yeah, so that's a really good one. I also I'm a very water
Yeah,
water
water
ritual
witch.
person. I would also recommend, I have a thawing. I don't know how to say this in English, like melting
Yeah,
ritual.
thawing. Yeah.
Yeah, with ice. So if you know that there's something that's blocking you, like, oh, I have this thought that like all men suck. There's
Mm.
no good man out there, or I'm not pretty enough, or there is something in you that's a limiting belief around love for sure. So you can write this limiting belief on a piece of paper and put it in water and have it freeze overnight. And then the day after, you take your ice and you melt it in your hands, and just let let this thought like go away with the ice melting. Like, it's getting out of your energy, it's getting out of your body. I usually, while I melt the ice, will meditate, like imagine this like leaving my body, like it's not something I believe anymore. And then in the following days, if I have any of that thought come up, I just like, well, no, well, like, yeah, this is not true, this is true. So instead of saying, oh, there's no good men out there, if I think about that the day after I melted my ice, I'll say, well, that's not true. There are good men out there. I'm in the process of finding them, like
Mm.
what's going on. So just blocking that thought after for a few days, plus this melting of your limiting
Yeah.
thoughts or around
What do
it.
you do with the water? You just leave it.
I usually do it above a sink, so I just let
Oh,
it like
sink. Yeah.
go.
Yeah.
And the paper sometimes will kind of disintegrate into it. It depends, and sometimes you still have the paper, so I'll usually let it go in nature. So sometimes you can bury it, like I know you like burying things.
Yeah.
Um, or sometimes I like to burn things when I want them out. So I'll wait for the paper to dry after the ritual and then burn it on fire and just let it go.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It is really, Jesse Elder taught me this. It's like, really, is that belief useful? Is it useful to believe that everyone is a cheater and there's no one there? Not really, because it makes you feel like shit, right?
Yeah.
So
And it's
reaching for
not
like a
true.
slightly better belief, even if it's like not the total opposite, because maybe your core will not buy into that, but just something slightly better. Like you
Yeah.
said, like I'm in the process, or
Yeah.
I can be shown evidence of really solid humans and romantic relationships that I can aspire to, and
Yep.
proof of that.
And try to find it. Try to find
Like
in your
actively look
reality.
for it. Yeah.
Yeah, like I had was it you? I don't remember. I had someone tell me like, "Oh, I thought all guys were so ugly in my city." Um, like they
Oh.
were not
Oh yeah,
good.
that would have been a couple years ago though, right?
Maybe was it you? I
Yeah,
don't
I think that
remember.
was like 4 years ago when I was
Maybe.
going through all those Tinder dates.
To all the so all the Tinder, like the hundreds of Tinder dates were ugly.
Yeah.
So, but can you go out and try to see if a guy is nice? And if you don't find a guy that is nice looking, you don't need to talk to it. Just change what your brain thinks. Can you at least find something you like? Oh, well, this guy has nice hair.
Yeah.
Like, you don't need to love everything else, but like, is there something positive instead of always being negative about it?
Yeah.
Like, oh, this guy has good style. Like, he's not, I don't love him, but like he dresses well. Like, I'll give him that. Like, what can you give them that's like positive? And all of a sudden you'll see a hotter guy.
Yeah.
Not
Yeah, that
because you
was
think they're
totally
hotter.
what happened to me. I was like, there's no good looking guys in
Yeah.
Auckland, New Zealand. The
And like,
and
Australia
That's what I
and New
got.
Zealand is known to have really hot guys.
I never saw hot guys. And then when I caught myself saying that and I decided to change the narrative and focus myself on good traits or a good looking guy that I did, suddenly it was like night and day. It was hot guys everywhere. Like I was literally in heaven, It was
Yeah.
such a shift. Yeah. And that was the only thing that I did. Was there, it wasn't like there was a special event on in Auckland and suddenly immigration only let in hot people, you know. It was like they were there the whole time, but my focal point, my perspective had created a confirmation bias in my
Yeah.
environment.
And you were manifesting ugly guys.
Yeah.
That's what it is, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
It is what it is. We are just so powerful. It's ridiculous how powerful we are. So when we realize it and we can tap, and try it, like any person listening, go out, go to a bar or a restaurant or wherever, and try to turn on the switch. Like, oh, I am hot, and I'm gonna have people look at me and think I'm hot.
Mm-hmm.
And people will look at you. They will. Just
So
because you
turning the
decided.
switch is like the narrative in your head as well as the feeling. That's what you mean by that?
Yeah, so turning the switch is about when you want it's this attraction, like attracting people, your magnetism. I feel like sometimes some people are in it very naturally and some people are not, but it's something that can be controlled. Um so I invite people to play with their magnetism and just try to turn on the switch of being magnetic. So, just put on like a dress, something you feel cute in,
Mm.
and go somewhere, a public space, and believe like people are gonna notice me. People are gonna look at me. And I'm not joking when I say people will look at you. You'll attract more attention just because you decided that you would.
Mm.
So if you decide, I'm gonna attract love, you can attract people to look at you just by deciding it's gonna happen today.
Mm.
This weekend I wore, like, I bought a new dress and I wore it and I was like, this looks so good. There's like so many people are going to compliment me, and I'm not joking. I think at least 10 people in the day came and told me my dress was so, like, I looked so beautiful in my dress just because I decided that I looked good and that I wanted attention for
Yeah.
it. Because sometimes you look good and you're like, I look good, and you don't want people to talk to you. you
Yeah.
know Put on something. It's easier if you feel good about yourself. So put on something that you feel good in, and go in a public space and decide, like, you know what, I'm going to attract attention. And notice, you'll see, like, someone will look at you, someone will look at the just a little bit more eyes on you. That's
Mm.
a first little thread that you're attracting what you want, which
Yeah.
is attention at that point. And eventually attention can get bigger and bigger and bigger and become love.
Mm. Yeah. We're vibrational beings, right? And we pick up on our openness and or how closed we are, right? And our sense of play and our sense of self-worth and our sense of connection to that vibration of love, I think, are very magnetic for people, and they don't know why. They're just like, this person is not even the best looking person, but I don't know why I can't keep my eyes off them. They're so magnetic.
Every girl will relate, but like, what is hotter than a hot ugly guy? Like, nothing.
Oh, a hot
A guy.
ugly guy. I've
Yeah,
never heard.
a guy that's like
Yeah, right.
not conventionally hot, but like hot. That's
Yeah,
hot. They don't need to be good looking. There's just something about the energy,
it's the
but
energy.
everyone has access to that.
Yeah, it's like charisma, confidence. It's like something you admit, that
Yeah,
comes from your core. And if the dialogue that you're saying is like, well, nobody loves you, you're just ugly, no one's going to choose you, then that also is going to get picked up by other people.
of course. And just this exercise of going somewhere and be like, oh, I'm gonna attract some attention on me today. People are gonna look at me is such a good exercise to do.
Mm,
And it shows you do have power over it.
mm.
And it is playful. It is playing. You try it and you don't know what, I mean, you don't care. It's just people looking at you. And playfulness is also a very good energy to attract your
Yeah,
manifestations to you.
yeah, love it. Such a beautiful conversation and such a beautiful message to share, because I do think a lot of the world, especially now, it's, fixated on the way that we look and the
Yeah.
way that cosmetic surgery and all these things, and or even money, like you need to have a bank account that looks like this in order to attract, and we're really fixated on kind of the material conditions of what we think is going to attract love, and forgetting that love is just like how we manifest money. It's just the same as how we manifest anything else in our lives, friendships. So it starts from within. And I think that's such a important message to be shared, especially for those who are finding themselves disconnected from love or thinking that they'll never find it. It is the most prevalent vibration of this universe. It's there for everybody, regardless of your age, regardless if you're paraplegic. It doesn't matter. There's actually somebody for everyone out there. There's probably hundreds of thousands of people for everybody out there, I mean,
Yeah.
there's what, 9 billion of us now on this planet. So
Yeah. You can find one interesting
yeah,
person.
right. Do you think we have more than one soulmate?
Um, I believe we have soul families. So
Yeah.
I believe we have multiple people around that, like sometimes our parents or children or people we can have lived like multiple lives with. And I do believe there's maybe multiple people you could do your life with that's like in your soul family, but I do believe in an actual soulmate. But I don't believe everybody is meant to spend every one of their lives with their soulmate. I think someone in your soul family can be the one for you in this life.
Yeah.
Like it's your person for this life, and it's the person who's going to make you happy because you needed to learn from something from them. But I do believe in soulmates.
Yeah. And your husband's your soulmate?
Yes.
Ah. That's amazing. So for anyone that wants to continue working with you or check out your ebook, where could they go to?
Yeah, they can go. The easiest way is on Instagram. To find me on Instagram. So it's at Emmanuelle.Daigle, which is my name, which I'm guessing is gonna be in the description of the podcast, because good
Yes.
luck. Good
Yeah.
luck. Good luck to know.
Digle. Yeah. That's
Yes,
it.
the
Yeah.
IGLE, and Emmanuelle is EMMANUELLE.
Dot DAIGLE.
Exactly.
Okay, so head to your Instagram. You've got an ebook on offer
Yeah.
about this process of alchemizing love into your life. And anyone who's interested in checking out the 21 day challenge or any of your other work, head there.
Yeah.
Thank you so much, Emmanuelle, for this beautiful conversation about manifesting soulmate love. I'm going to actually be doing this in my own life because I'm at that stage now where I'm ready to, step back into that vibration and that calibration. So I will keep you posted, and all of you
Of
guys on
course.
the podcast, on how that goes. And once again, thank you so much. It's been so awesome having you on.
Thank you for having me.